Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. A bit of a forced break after some PC issues, but thankfully not for too long. So as you can tell by the title of this video, yep, we're gonna go over the missing Beastmen characters, as there are quite a few. The only reason I'm actually going for this is we only had one Beastmen character in the whole Silence and the Fury. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining, the DLC itself is great, but you know, no legendary heroes or no FLC Legendary Lord, it makes me question that we might see some Beastmen content in the future. Their roster's not really complete, so we can expect something, we just have to wait and see what Creative Assembly want to do. But let's not waste any more time and jump right in, and we'll start off with a character which I very much like, and it's very surprising that we've still yet to see him in the Total War Warhammer series. I'm of course talking about Goris Warhoof, the sire of 1,000 Young. The reason why it's surprising is the fact that we do have Centaur Regiments of Renown units, which are named after him, so you thought that that would have been a hint or something, right? Wrong, Creative Assembly once again don't want to give us a character that we all very much want. At least not now anyway. So for context, Goris is a Centaur character. No official miniature ever existed for him, but this was the majority case for a lot of Beastmen characters. So why do people want Goris? Well, simply put, he's a party boy, and yeah, I'm not kidding. You don't get the title Sire of 1,000 Young if you're not really into having a little bit of fun. Goris is considered to be one of the first ever Centaurs. Some people even consider him to be the first, where all he really wants to do is get drunk, get into fights, and of course, have a lot of sex. He's living the Beastmen dream, and nobody's going to tell him to stop, or better yet said, nobody's going to make him stop. Now, a lot of people were expecting this character to be the FLC Legendary Lord for this recent patch cycle. In truth, before I got access to the patch, I was honestly thinking the same way too. But then I realized that Goris might require a bit more work. Maybe some new Centaur units, a Centaur Lord and a Centaur Hero. It wouldn't make sense to have that as the FLC Legendary Lord, as normally FLC factions are either direct reskins if they have a lot of units, or they've got a lot of different mechanics for their own specific race, like for example Forik did, but they're not going to do a second Beastmen rework for a current Beastmen rework. Yeah, don't worry, that confused me too. So I think Goris will eventually make it into the Warhammer series if they decide to do another Beastmen DLC, and he might be the main focus. For all we know, they could even decide to make him a Sineshi Lord, because yeah, everything he does is quite Sineshi. But he's a personal favourite character, and that's why I wanted to put him here first. We're not going by order of importance or anything, it's just because I really like Goris. Next, of course, we have Moonclaw, a character that many people were expecting to be some sort of legendary hero, as he's not really a beastman per se. Instead, he was born of the moon Morsleep, which is a Chaos moon. He's actually more solidified Chaos Maid incarnate than actual beast. A popular character on the tabletop for his destructive capabilities, Moonclaw himself would be the essence of pure corruption, very similar to that of Morga, which is why I don't think this character would ever become a legendary lord, as they are very similar. Well, of course, there's the difference of a mount option, but other than that, I would say that this character best fits the legendary hero role. He's an enigma, he could be one of these characters that could be recruited by every legendary lord if they have the DLC, very similar to that of Lord Croak. Perhaps with some interesting questline, as of course, Creative Assembly are now getting very experimental with quests. I don't want to spoil everything, as of course the Silence and the Fury has only just recently come out, but if you do the quest for Oxeoto or Torox, you'll see exactly what I mean. The fact that Moonclaw also had no official model like most of the other Beastmen, but had one representation which made him very, very strange looking, that's exactly what's on screen right now. Creative Assembly and Games Workshop could really experiment and make something truly horrifying if they wanted to, which would be an artist's dream, I imagine, having some sort of free reign to create something out of nightmares. Next, of course, we have Aggroforhorn, a rather interesting character, mainly because he is a small mutant, joining the ranks of the Ungor and the Beastmen, but never really truly accepted. In fact, he was bullied very often by even the lesser of the Beastmen. The only reason why this character is so well known is because eventually, if you get bullied enough, you will snap, and Ungor surely did, killing the Brace Shaman of the tribe and also the leader of the the tribe too. He was hunted by his fellow beastmen but eventually managed to get away and formed his own little tribe, mostly with Ungors, mutants and other beasts, nothing too spectacular, but it did become a bit of an issue around the lands of the old world. It would be interesting to see this character being introduced as a legendary hero, but nothing too well needed. He could probably buff up Ungors and, well, that's pretty much it, I'd say, unless they add in mutants, but even then, he's not the biggest character out there. Next is Slugtong, a very Nurgle-inspired Beastmen character, one of those very rare few established named spellcasters, as this character was well known to bring plague wherever he roamed, and it was very destructive, very similar to that of a more Skaven-y feel more than anything, very heavily inspired by that of the lore of Plague, where anywhere he would go, everything, the land, the trees, the animals, everything would begin to rot. He's cool, and he has a lot of Nurgle flavor, well, a bit of an extreme Nurgle flavor as I said, so it would be interesting if this character got introduced maybe for the Nurgle faction as a legendary hero, as of course many named demons would likely fall under the Lord slot. I mean, we'll have to wait and see, but it's an interesting concept, and I wouldn't be totally opposed to it. Lastly, we have Garrford the Beast Lord, and I know what you're going to say, he's too similar to that of Khazrak the One-Eye, yet I do say that they would be quite different. You see, of course, Khazrak, especially now since the new DLC, is focused very heavily on bestigors, Gors and Ungors, anything on foot really. Whereas Garrford, while very similar, was focused more on chariot-based combat, and it's just a different style. Think about it as Beastmen cavalry, as rare as that sounds. More of a skirmishing cavalry focus. It's very difficult because this is a thing with Warhammer Fantasy, the Beastmen were introduced, not a lot of named characters were ever introduced, and those that were very similar to others already in the series. So Beastmen always had this short end of a stick. If you think that it's amazing that it took Creative Assembly 5 years to update the Beastmen in the DLC form, well, in Warhammer Tabletop, which was running for about, what, 30 years? The Beastmen constantly sucked. Though Garrford was actually really cool, as he had a lot of lore established around him, having destroyed a fair amount of the Empire, and he was dead because he was alive a few hundred years ago, yet the thing with Warhammer Fantasy was the fact that timelines were always a little iffy. But the character itself could be quite cool if you wanted to focus on very heavily chariot-based combat, which could be interesting. And it would be very similar to that of Slaanesh, so it could bring that type of playstyle outside somewhere else. I'll be very honest with you, it's very hard to justify this character, even more so than Aggroforhorn for some reason, despite the fact that Garrford does have a lot of lore, but he does deserve a mention because he is very important in the lore. Like I said, there's other characters, but they're all basic carbon copies of everyone else. Literally, if you go back through all the lore there's just some stuff that is just really, it's Taurox of a new name. But these are the missing characters, and I really do hope that we'll eventually see some of them in the future. Warhammer 3 is getting closer and closer, and the cross-game DLC would be kinda cool. Or better yet said, maybe some Beastmen characters could find it into the mono-god factions, that would be awesome too. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons, your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.